Aloha! What language is that? That is Hawaiian. Very good. Well, today for our story, we are going to read one called Albert and Sarah Jane. I wonder which one is which. I'm going to guess from the picture. This is Albert and this is Sarah Jane. Let's see if I'm right. The author is Malachi Doyle. Malachi Doyle. Albert and Sarah Jane were the very best of friends. Their favorite thing to do was curl up in a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire. Aw, nice friends. But there was one thing Albert liked even better than that, and that was eating his yummy, scrummy crunchies from his big blue bowl. And there was one thing he liked even better than that, and that was eating Sarah Jane's even yummier, scrummier, fishy nibbles. He'd steal one or two from her little red bowl when his friend wasn't looking. They always tasted so much better than his own. But one morning, while Sarah Jane was out and about, Albert got a little carried away with his nibbling. Uh-oh. When his friend came back in from the yard, she was all ready for breakfast, but there wasn't a speck of food left in her little red bowl. I'll show you the other side in a minute. When Sarah Jane looked to see if there was anything in Albert's big blue bowl, she found there wasn't a speck of food there either. She went to ask Albert why there wasn't any food to eat, but he was fast asleep in his basket. That's odd, she thought. I'm sure he's fatter than usual, and I'm sure he smells all fishy too. You've been eating my food, you naughty dog, hissed Sarah Jane, arching her back. But Albert just snored and ignored her. Okay, said Sarah Jane. I've had enough of this. She turned around and marched straight out of the house. Albert opened one eye and saw Sarah Jane leaving through the pet door. She'll be back, he thought. She always comes back. But Sarah Jane didn't come back. She went to live next door instead. By that evening, Albert was lonely. By the next morning, he was howling at the pet door. Come home, Sarah Jane, he cried. I miss you. Albert spotted Sarah Jane through the upstairs window. He smiled at her in a doggy sort of way, but Sarah Jane ignored him. So Albert sneaked out of the house, went next door, sat himself down on the doorstep, and howled. Come home, Sarah Jane, he cried. I miss you. Stop howling, you naughty dog, hissed Sarah Jane, coming down to see what all the fuss was about. But I'm sad and lonely, said Albert. I want a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire. Well, the food's better over here, and nobody steals it, said Sarah Jane. But it's lonely here, too, without a big, smelly lump of a dog to snuggle up with. Me? Asked Albert. Yes, you, said Sarah Jane. Do you miss me? Asked Albert. I do, said Sarah Jane. Well, I'm sorry, said Albert. What for? Asked Sarah Jane. For gobbling up all your fishy nibbles, said Albert. Will you do it again? Asked Sarah Jane. I won't, said Albert. Will you even nibble them? Asked Sarah Jane. I won't, said Albert. Good, said Sarah Jane. They made an agreement. So she marched back home, and Albert marched back home behind her. They had a little nibble from their red and blue bowls. And then they curled up together in a great big cat-dog cuddle by the fire and fell asleep. Okay, so Albert and Sarah Jane. Was I right that this was Albert and that was Sarah Jane? Yep, my prediction was right. Albert and Sarah Jane. Now, sometimes do we have people in our lives that kind of irritate us? Yeah, we do. It happens a lot of times. And sometimes we get mad enough that we want to run away. Does that solve the problem? No, that does not solve the problem. You have to talk it out. You need to use your words to figure out a solution to that problem. So what I want you to do is next time you think about that and somebody's really kind of bothering you, I want you to use your words and talk about it. Think about Albert and Sarah Jane and how much they really did love each other, but they needed to talk about it instead of running away from it. Okay, hope you enjoyed this story today. See you later. Bye.